How many flagship features can you pack into a budget phone? Well, that's what ZTE is looking to answer with the Blade series. Let's see how they did with the Blade X Max. Let's start on the outside. Now the first thing you'll notice is that this phone is big. The Blade X Max comes in at 6.5 inches tall by 3.27 inches wide and 0.37 inches thick, bigger than the Galaxy Note 8. This phone is not meant for somebody with small hands. It's also not going to fit into any pocket very well. It's almost 7 ounces, which is definitely on the heavier side, but personally I don't mind as it just makes it feel more sturdy to me. The front is 2.5D Dragon Trail glass, which is comparable to Gorilla Glass 3, and there are 3 capacitive buttons on the chin bezel. The center home button doubles as a slowly pulsing notification light. On the top, we have the earpiece speaker and 5 megapixel selfie cam. As we move around to the back, we can see the main 13 megapixel camera in the top center, the flash just below it, and then a center fingerprint reader, which is the absolutely perfect spot as my finger just falls right on it. It's fast and responsive, even faster than the Accent 7, ZTE's flagship phone. And finally, we have the rear-firing speaker in the bottom corner. The placement isn't fantastic, but it makes up for it by being very loud and pretty clear. It's just lacking a little oomph in the low end. The back is plastic and only available in this dark blue design, which isn't terrible, but it's extremely prone to smudges and fingerprints, as in it'll never not have smudges or fingerprints. The phone is just a little bit slippery, so watch out for the occasional slip and drop. Around the side, we have the volume rocker and the power button, which is textured to easily be able to differentiate it. At the bottom is the mic and USB Type-C, which comes with Quick Charge 2.0. On the left is a SIM tray with a micro SD card slot. And lastly, on the top, we have the noise cancellation mic and the 3.5mm headphone jack. It's rocking a Qualcomm Snapdragon 435 octa-core CPU with an Adreno 505 GPU. It's paired up with 2 gigs of RAM and 32 gigabytes of onboard storage. That is expandable up to 128 gigabytes via micro SD card. Powering all of this is a non-removable 3400 mAh battery, which I found to last me easily throughout an entire day, even with heavy use and constant navigation. This phone does come on Android 7.1.1. Now there is a little customization, but it doesn't extend beyond some icons. Most of it is stock Android. The real kicker is the amount of bloatware. The Blade X Max is only available through Cricket, so there's a fair amount of bloatware there, as well as a few by ZTE, which, if you like them and use them, great, but there are better versions of just about all of them on the Play Store. While the actual responsiveness of the phone isn't amazing, it's still more than fast enough for 99% of people's daily use, with the UI especially being very fast. The only time it slows down is when it tries to open an app with a lot of content to load. The camera essentially just qualifies as gets the job done. It's hard to get a good picture that isn't grainy without a lot of light, and low light pictures are just not a realistic proposition without using the flash. You can technically take a picture up to 4160 by 3120, but whether or not that picture actually turns out well, that's more subjective. It does include a fairly decent manual mode, as well as time-lapse, multi-exposure, and panorama modes, and a few real-time filters as well. It does include an HDR feature, but from my experience, it just causes the photo to become overexposed. The shutter is also pretty slow, so unless you have a very steady hand, most of your pictures are going to come out looking like an oil painting. Now the good part comes in with video. It has the ability to record 1080p at 60 frames a second, and even has a secondary button to take still frame pictures in the middle of recording. Another drawback is that it lacks the second rear camera, present on its sister phone, the Blade Z Max, on Metro PCS. Now down to the main reason why you choose the Blade X Max over any other budget smartphone, and that is that you're basically walking around with a TV inside your pocket. The massive 6-inch TFT Full HD display is the best I've seen on a phone in this price range. Everything looks really sharp, and you'd be hard-pressed to find any pixelation anywhere on the phone. It is also very bright, with a large range of decent color. Though compared directly to any phone with an actual AMOLED display, it seems very washed out and bland. Watching a movie, especially with a case that has a kickstand, is a great experience. The bezels are large enough that you can comfortably hold the phone without covering any of the screen, and the included Dolby audio makes it sound amazing. Something else about the Dragon Trail glass, besides being very scratch resistant, is that I've noticed it's very hard to leave a fingerprint on the front screen, even on purpose. This leaves the screen looking very sharp and clear, so you don't have to wipe it off every time you stop watching something to send a text. The display is actually why I chose this as my own personal phone. Since it is such a large phone, ZTE has made some accessibility features to best make use of that space. Firstly, they have Mi Pop, which is simply a little widget you can put on the side of the phone to access additional controls or just have everything within the reach of your thumb. It also makes good use of Android's split screen function, allowing you to run two apps side by side with fairly decent results, so you can text while watching a movie or any other two things you could be doing at the same time. The Blade X Max also comes with Bluetooth 4.0, and since it is on Cricket, it is only a GSM device. I really only have two issues with the phone, the first being that it's only available in blue, and the second being the lack of NFC. So there is no option to be able to use Google Pay or Android Pay or anything like that. So back to our original question, how many flagship features were they able to fit in this phone? Well, a 6-inch Full HD display, USB Type-C with quick charge, a Qualcomm Snapdragon, and a fingerprint reader give this phone huge bang for the buck cred.